What's up, everybody? I'm doing another episode, which is kind of odd because I said I was going to be doing these every other day, but new information kind of presented itself, and I wanted to change up some of the things I said in my opinions because I listened to the Bad Kid cast. Wow, my fucking brain's going to toast. I listened to Baited with Colossal being guest hosts on there, and Andy and fucking Chad, but there were a lot of things said in there. But that number one that I absolutely disagreed with. There was a lot into it. But there was also some stuff in there which I think I'm actually kind of surprised because I went into thinking that this episode was not going to change any of my opinions, and it actually did. So if you haven't listened to the most recent Baited, please definitely go do that. It's really good. So I want to talk about some of the things that changed my mind and also some of the things that I feel like were very wrong. And the theme of this episode is really just going to be about change. You know, kind of changing your opinions and your beliefs based off of new information or new facts being presented, maybe. Or in this case, opinions, but still. So, right off the bat, I want to point out my biggest qualm with this, and that is that they keep arguing, the guys on Baited keep arguing that live streaming donations is not the same as Patreon donations. And I'm sorry, but I have to argue completely in the opposite direction because this is absolute bullshit and it drives me crazy. To an extent, I would actually call Patreon donations more valuable than Twitch donations or live streaming donations for that matter. Because I'll give you a couple of reasons. Now, granted, these are my opinions, but I do want to make it so that, you know, it's very easy to understand here. And that is number one, when you're live streaming, you're actively entertaining people, and things are going on to give people a good experience generally. But people got to realize is that you have to entertain somebody nonstop for maybe say you're Andy and you're streaming for 6 or 8 hours a day. You have to be on. Your personality and your energy has to keep flowing and going and popping for 8 hours a day. And to an extent, it's going to be a shitty analogy, you're kind of a stripper at that point. You are up on that pole dancing and saying, hey, I need money to, support my lifestyle. Please donate to my lifestyle. Please tip me, in so many words. Now, here's the reason why that I have a slight problem with that, is that you don't know what you're going to make that day. People constantly talk about it's like, oh yeah, if I'm going to go out there and I'm going to stream, I'm going to get viewers. But you don't know if you're going to get donations. You don't know how much you're going to earn through ad revenue. You don't know what you're going to earn through subscribers, like new subscribers, if anything. You know how to retain your current subscribers generally, but getting new people to subscribe is a very difficult process. And I want to talk about that's really the biggest thing that sucks for Twitch streamers is that, yeah, you can get a lot of subscribers. Like, there are people, they get to those points where it's like they can just live off of subscriber revenue. But tips and donations are really keep you, I guess you could say, in the upper tier, the high margins of making profit. Now, let's discuss something, because Chad talked about this, which was that, it cost him money to stream. Now, it might not all be the same, but for IRL streamers, generally speaking, it costs a lot of money. You got to get data plans, you have to have good equipment, cell phones, you have to be in an area that has good internet. It's a lot of work just to even get the bare bones of that started. But anyway, so he talks about, he's got to spend money to make money. And in so many words, that's kind of what Twitch donations are, is you have to spend your money, time, and effort and energy all just to get a couple of dollars from somebody. And again, as I talked about in the last episode, that donation sometimes, it's like, oh yeah, it doesn't feel as genuine as a Patreon donation. And I talked about in this last episode, I don't think if anybody didn't see it, I'll re-explain it real quick, is that when you donate to somebody on Twitch, when I do, I generally just get this whole 5-second response of oh, Pantsless Gamers has donated to you. Oh, hey, thanks Pantsless, I appreciate the donation. And then that's it. Whereas with a Patreon, there is kind of an ongoing support, an ongoing relationship with me and this person saying, I'm actively supporting you. Now, here's what the distinct difference is and why it is not different to call Patreon donations different from Twitch donations. And here's the biggest thing. A Twitch stream, I'm sorry to say it, is not as entertaining as a very well-composed YouTube video. We're going to discuss this real quick. And that is, they even talked about this in the episode of the podcast. You got an animator who spends so much time and effort and energy working to try to get, just a couple of frames or a couple of seconds done in an amazing animation or a video. Or it takes a lot of effort to compose this and to combine it and to get it all set and rendered and made look beautiful. That can take months of time for some people. This is a big process. So it helps to have money coming in so that you can focus on doing that. Now, we're going to take your average Twitch stream, and honestly, I can stream. I'm just a nobody. I've got good talking points, I've got a decent voice, and I can kind of play video games. I could go on right now and make a live stream and stream for 12 hours straight if I had the energy and the entertainment, really. I could do that. And I could do that every single day for 7 days a week. I could absolutely do that. I have done pretty close to similar to that. And now, is the quality there? Is the same difference there? In my opinion, no. Because, as an adult, I would have time if I worked like a desk job to watch a Twitch stream for that long and maybe be able to tip this person. But most people aren't like that. Most people, we don't either work a job or we're busy to the point where we can't, actively watch, a Twitch live stream. Why does every fucking episode have to have some noise in the background? I swear to God, the street's fucking haunted. Somebody is always getting shot or stabbed nearby and the fucking ambulance is going by 24/7. But anyway, most of us don't work this desk job or, some relaxing job where we can just pop on a Twitch stream and entertain ourselves. Most of us are actively working at a job where it's like, well, we can't, listen to music. We can't, watch something on the television or watch a live stream. We're actively working. We're doing something. Or some of us are going to school and learning. And a lot of people are going to school. I mean, that's the majority of your audience. So when people say is like, hey, if you donate to my Patreon, this makes the quality of these videos immensely better. For the majority of your viewers, it's actually better to say, hey, instead of just spewing out this garbage every day, with the money I can hire a special effects guy, a Photoshop editor, and they make my videos just 20 times funnier because of the work that they put into my videos. And that makes it a valid point, is that you're taking the money that people are donating and saying, hey, we're going to up the production quality and say, well, yeah, we're going to use this money to make the videos better. And I mean, that's better than the Twitch donation, in my opinion. It doesn't necessarily invalidate what they say entirely, because there's people like I'm Alex or Wild Spartans, etc., who just do commentary videos. And I'm sorry, but I can pump up those fucking videos out too, just like they do. So it's really not hard to make those videos. So it's like, those guys having a Patreon maybe would fight in favor towards the argument for Baited, is that, that's not really doing much to improve the quality. Maybe it just helps the person pay the bills. Maybe. But anyway, I want to talk now about what was the couple of things that they said that changed my mind, which is really kind of surprising, which is number one, and this is the most earnest one I can honestly think of that, because I love Philip DeFranco. I'm a huge Philip DeFranco fan because I like that some people are still playing the middle ground. But anyway, the one thing they said was Philip DeFranco has not disclosed anything. He didn't disclose opening SourceFed up and the amount of money he was paid to do that. He didn't talk at all about how when he got bought out, how much money was that. He didn't disclose, he's not disclosing his Patreon donations. He's not disclosing how is he going to get the news and the information. How is he going to spend that money to make this news network. He's not talking about any of this stuff. And honestly, I generally don't find a problem in this, but they're right on Baited, where this has been a reoccurring theme. This has been nonstop over and over with Philip DeFranco. And that needs to be said. I think that needs to be said loud and clear, that I think Philip DeFranco has to be more transparent, in my opinion, because, you can have a business, but when you become a publicly traded business and you have stocks and whatnot, you have to disclose this type of information. And in my opinion, not necessarily saying that he has to, but if the fans are funding what you're doing, you should be telling the fans what you're doing. Because in reality, they are your stockholders. They are the people who are quite literally building this business. There are some people who probably spent $5,000 to $10,000 building this business, essentially for free for Philip DeFranco. And the one thing that they said, this is a small side note, but I feel it's important. They said that it was Philip DeFranco's not spending any of his money into this. Well, you could kind of tell from that video he was spending a bit of his money. Not much, you could tell, but he was spending money and saying Patreon was essentially going to pay him back. I'm willing to bet that's how it is. And then the other thing, too, that Chad said, which was about the business account, that was kind of a duh moment. I'm like, yeah, Philip DeFranco probably pays himself out $200,000, and then he probably takes his business account and writes everything off. And in all honesty, you're stupid not to do that. But the one thing that they said, which I was that was kind of important to be said here, was that I'm more than willing to bet that Philip DeFranco was paying himself a salary of $200,000, But then, if he had a good financial year, he was probably paying himself out really nice bonuses. I mean, those ads you would see on his videos, those are worth a lot of money. I'm talking in the $30,000+ mark, because all of his videos were getting like 1 to 2 million views. So you can guarantee his ad insertions are through the roof. But anyway, I digress. We're going to get back on a point here. And that's, I think he needs to disclose things. It's not fair at all that he doesn't tell, essentially, in so many words, the stock people who are holding stock in this company, what he's planning on doing with it. And that needs to be said, in my opinion. Now, he doesn't have to do that, but it is absolutely fair. Because, like they talked about, it's been many times where he's done something, he's built up a project, and he's sold a company or something like that. He doesn't disclose any fucking thing. And it's kind of a smart business practice, but you gotta tell people if the people are what's kind of driving your business. You'll see a lot with Rooster Teeth. They don't necessarily throw out exact numbers, but you can actively see where the money's going to. Like, Laser Team was a fan-funded project. You saw where every dollar in that production was spent. You saw it all. With Freddie Wong and, Video Game High School, you see where all the money goes. And I think it's fair to say that Philip DeFranco should give us a spreadsheet of some sort saying, okay, we're going to spend $50,000 here, we're going to spend $200,000 on our employees, we're going to be spending $10,000 on the building, etc., etc. And the one last thing that I wanted to say too, which I think Baited actually has changed my mind on a lot. This is actually kind of a surprise because I wasn't really expecting this to be said, because I'm like, oh no, people are good. I'm too naive in that sense. But that is that, what is to stop Philip DeFranco from selling the company? What is to say that he builds up this company, which is actually a very common thing, I'll tell you guys if you don't know. It's very common to buy out businesses that may or may not be doing great, build them up until they get very, at least to the profitable point, and then sell the company. It's like a house. You buy a shitty rundown house, you spend money fixing it, and the next thing you know, you made back like $100,000 on just flipping this house. A lot of people will do that actually with businesses. My father worked at a business that is essentially that. And to be fair, or no, not fair, to be kind of honest, YouTube to an extent is kind of like that. YouTube was bought at not necessarily a low point, but it was bought before it blew the fuck up. And now you're seeing Google's getting to the point where they've made a lot of effort and they've built out this platform. I think they could sell this platform very soon. But that's another conversation for another point. But anyway, what's to stop Philip DeFranco from saying, we built up, after 3 years, the most trusted news source on the internet, besides like the BBC. That's like the only other news station that I can tell you that I know people trust. He builds up the most trusted news station in the entire internet, and he goes, well, guys, I got a $3 billion buyout offer, buy. What's to stop that? And to be fair, I kind of feel like there needs to be a promise that he won't do that, because, and I'm going to get a little petty here, but what happened to SourceFed, in my opinion, and not at all maybe bringing those people on for this news network, the Franco Elite, I think it's kind of scummy. I think like the people who worked their asses off every day at SourceFed built that channel back up, and actually you saw that the channel was actually on the uptick. I actually subscribed to this channel. I was like, wow, the content here is actually pretty funny and interesting. I personally like the news, but still, the people who were there, the work that they did was phenomenal. And I kind of feel like it's a trashy move to be like, okay, we're going to take what was essentially a news network, get rid of it, at least it wasn't his saying, that was Discovery saying, okay, all those people now are out of a job, and now we're about to create a brand new news network, and we're going to hire other people. Well, it's like, what the fuck? Why would you, like, those people essentially lost their jobs for nothing, in my opinion. Now, that being said, he might actually hire people back from SourceFed. I don't know. I have no idea where that situation stands, but I'm like, that kind of ticks me off to the extent, like, we don't know. We don't know what he's doing. And I think that does need to be evident if the people are backing your project. I think we should actually kind of force this onto Philip DeFranco. Not harshly, just be like, yo, show us where the money's going. Because otherwise, we don't even know how much is going to the Patreon. We don't know how much funding he's getting from Patreon. And you bet your ass Philip DeFranco's going to be doing funding from sponsorships and ad placements. I'm almost certain that he would not pass up the opportunity to get like a $100,000 deal with the company just to throw like a little fucking side ad on the website. So it's like, he's going to get so much fan funding. He's going to get sponsor deals or advertiser deals. And it's like, dude, I'm too nervous. He's just gonna be like, oh, you gotta trust us. We're putting the money to good use. Well, show us. We're funding you, motherfucker. Anyway, I'm gonna get off that topic, and then we're gonna go into something else. And I just want to finish it off with the theme of change, real quick, which is actually about something you might laugh at for me. You might actually kind of get a little kick out of this, and that is that you guys, if you've ever been to an airport, at least a popular enough airport, you've seen the big scanners. The big giant body scanners that use the fucking giant spinny thingy that scans your entire body. I hate those fucking things. I still hate them. I despise those for a million different reasons. It's because, number one, I feel like it's a bit invasive. It's really just kind of like, oh, look, we're going to scan every inch of your body just to see if there's anything wrong with you. And I know it's only to check for weapons and possibly, contraband and whatnot, but I don't like it. It just doesn't feel right. But the biggest reason that I don't like this thing is because of it using X-ray technology. Now, here's where the laugh's going to come in, because I recently changed my opinion on these. And that is that I went to the airport recently. I was at JFK, and I had to fly back home to Buffalo. So I'm flying home to JFK, and I no joke, I tell the guy, I'm like, hey, I hate these things. Can I get a pat down instead? He's like, you want a pat down? I'm like, oh, yeah, I fucking hate these machines and the X-rays. He's like, all right. And he just kind of laughs at me. So I'm just kind of like, well, fuck's sake, yeah, I don't like this shit. So I go, I get my pat down, I get through the line, I'm all good to go. I'm sitting down with my family, and I'm like, yeah, I requested the pat down, that's why it took me so long. They're like, why'd you request the pat down? I'm like, well, because the fucking machine uses X-rays, and if you don't know, X-rays can cause cancer in your body, and I fucking hate that. It's invasive and cause cancer, and it just feels like, oh, we don't trust anyone, which is fine. They, airport, you don't trust anybody. But anyway, so my parents are like, you're an idiot, Kyle. Why? They don't use that much radiation. I'm like, yeah, but it still uses radiation. Doesn't matter how much it is. It's still negatively effective. So I'm like, I thought in my head for a minute. I'm like, wait a second. I mean, we're taught to question things and not trust everything. But why don't I go look this up? I go and I look it up, and those motherfucking body scanners, I come to find out, they only expose you to, if I can remember correctly, the same amount of radiation that you would normally encounter if you were walking around for an hour or for 42 seconds in New York City in a highly populated area. It's the same amount of radiation. So to effectively to get a year's worth of radiation from one of those machines, you would have to go through it 1,000 times. And this was coming from, I think, the EPA's website, or it was some sort of flight website. It might have been the EPA. I can't quite remember. So I thought that was a good reason to change. And that's one of the biggest things we need as people now, is we need to be able to change our ideas, our opinions based off of new evidence and new facts. And I think that's really interesting in my opinion, because, you're going to constantly find that things are going to present themselves that you thought you knew your entire life. Like a song that you knew. Like you thought you knew the lyrics day in and day out. And then something happens where it's like somebody sings something different. You're like, what are you talking about? That's not the lyrics. And you go look up and you're wrong. So don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to take in new information and learn from it. Don't be afraid of that. And I think it's a great thing to be able to say, oh, I was wrong. Or, oh, I was right. But let's take what your information is and change up what we're thinking. We're too divided as a people. We got to come together more often. So anyway, guys, I love all you. Keep your minds open. Keep changing your heart. Again, anybody I talked about in this episode, no ill will is meant towards them. But for the most part, fuck you, Clown, you dirty bastard. I want to debate him about Patreon. I will fucking destroy Clown in a one-on-one debate about why Patreon, I think, should be used for every YouTuber besides people like, PewDiePie. I think Grade A Android having a Patreon, Boogie having a Patreon is absolutely fine, but, I don't know if Klaus is going to take that debate. He's talked to me and he said maybe. We'll see if I can convince him otherwise. Oh, also, I'm going to see if I can get Britbong and that Jamie guy, Leon Lush and Bunty King. I want to see if I can get them into a big on heated debate. We'll see if that happens, guys. I love all you, and I'll see you in the next episode.